As medical schools are getting more competitive, pre-meds have to try to achieve as many A's as possible. But sometimes, some of the strategies that you've been using to study doesn't work for you. In this video, I will show you the ways that help me to achieve straight A's in a semester. Hey guys, it's Sean and welcome back to this channel. If you're new to this channel, my name is Sean and I am a current junior at Rutgers University, major in exercise science on the pre-med track. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bells so that you don't miss any college and pre-med content. Alright, let's get into the video. So my first tip is to make sure you have that confidence to achieve all A's throughout the semester. You need to believe that it's possible to get all A's in the classes that you have in a semester with the study strategies that you have. And it's just so much easier to get back up and continue when you fail a test while you're confident. And having that belief and confidence is half the battle to get straight A's in a semester. My second tip is to make sure you write down any important assignments in your calendar the day you get your syllabi. So this could be like tests, papers, homework assignments, etc. This just helps you keep organized throughout the semester. So I use Google Calendar, and Google Calendar allows me to color code certain types of assignments and exams so that it's much easier for me to see what's coming up. Also try to focus on the assignments that has the most points because it will make it that much easier to focus on those assignments to increase the chances of getting an A in that course. Alright, so my third tip is to try to get good professors in order to increase the chances of getting an A that semester. So what I usually use is Rate My Professor, which has a list of professors that you can see their ratings and see other students' comments. And student surveys are anonymous surveys that students take at the end of each semester, and I usually like using student surveys more than Rate My Professor because it's much less biased. And I know this is not always possible to do just due to the circumstances that are going on currently right now, but having a good professor that can teach on a simpler level to make students understand the material is going to make your life so much easier to get an A that semester. Also try to pick a professor based on the assignments that you can actually complete. So I know this is not applicable in every class, especially the sciences, but this can make a huge difference to increase your chances of getting straight A's throughout the semester. So for example, in one of my major classes, which is Psych for Sports and Exercise, I had to decide between two professors. One professor had more essays but less exams, and the other one had more tests. So I went with the one with more exams and no essays because that will lead me to increase my chances of getting an A, and it's just much easier to complete a test rather than an essay. So my fourth tip is to try to set up short-term goals and long-term goals throughout the semester. I know this sounds very cliche, but this definitely helps me to remain motivated throughout the semester, but also not burn out throughout the semester. So some short-term goals that you can write is like do well on the test, do well on the quiz, completing a homework assignment, etc. And some long-term goals could be like getting an A on the final, or just doing really well in the course. And these long-term and short-term goals doesn't have to just be class related. You can also try to put personal goals as well so that you have something to look forward to each week rather than have to do work each day. So my fifth tip is to try to review upcoming lectures the day before your lecture actually starts. So this can help with learning what the professor thinks was important in the lecture. So usually I use the professor's slides or the test book if that's available, and also I use Khan Academy as well to learn any concepts that seemed too difficult when I was reading up the test book or the slides. So my sixth tip is to try to take active note taking while you're in lecture. It's very important not to just copy everything that the professor says because that's not going to help you retain that information while you're studying those lectures. So just make sure to listen what the professor emphasizes in lecture and just see whether the professor bold's anything, highlights anything, or writes anything on the board. because that will definitely determine whether it's actually important to learn for the exam or not. And also try to keep in mind of the objectives or learning goals that the professor puts in lecture, because that's most likely the concepts that the professor wants you to learn for the upcoming exams or final. So my second tip is to make sure to study a little bit every day rather than studying a lot of hours per day. So basically it's much better to put in around 30 minutes to 2 hours a day on each subject rather than only putting like 10 hours a day on each subject. This will lead you to less stress and you have more time to do the activities that you actually like to do. So my 8th tip is that active learning will always be greater than passive learning. So some examples of passive learning are reading your lecture notes, reading the textbook, and watching lecture videos without taking notes. This will not help you retain the information over a long period of time, and that information will disappear like that. So the first active learning strategy that I use are sequences, and they are a timeline of events that happen in a certain order. And this is just a very good way to recall events and see the bigger picture. And I'm going to show you an example from one of my classes of a sequence. So the next active learning strategy that I use are tables, and tables is comparing two or more ideas together to compare and contrast different features. And this helps with not only recognizing that concept but also recalling the concept at any given point. And I'm going to show you an example of a table that I use from one of my classes this semester. And the third active learning strategy that I use are mind maps, and they're just a great way to break a bigger picture into smaller components. And I only use mind maps really when I couldn't use a table or a sequence. A fourth active learning strategy that I use are flashcards, and they're just a great way to memorize any concepts or definitions that I need to learn over a long period of time. And a software that I use is Anki, and Anki is a great spaced repetition app that allows you to do flashcards over a long period of time so that it could go to your LTP, otherwise known as long-term potentiation. And if you guys want to see a short tutorial on Anki, just let me know in the comments down below and I'll definitely do one. So those 4 active learning strategies I usually use for my memorization courses, but now I'm going to go over a few of the active learning strategies that I use in my conceptual courses. So my 5th active learning strategy are practice problems, and practice problems is a good way to apply the material after you review your notes. So I usually did the suggested homework problems from the textbook, and again this helped me make sure to not only understand the material but also master that concept so that I could do well on an exam. And the last active learning strategy that I use are practice exams, and this is basically the holy grail of active learning. And I usually got my practice exams from either professors or upperclassmen, and practice exams are so great because you basically know how the professor questions different concepts on the exam, and this will make you even more prepared for exam because you basically know what he or she expects from you when taking their exams. So my 9th and final tip is to try to take a break sometimes from studying, and this just prevents you from getting burnt out, and this will allow you to finish the semester with getting straight A's in the semester. So during my study sessions I use the Pomodoro method, and you basically go for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, and then do this for 4 times, and after the 4th time of doing the Pomodoro method you take a longer break of 15 minutes. Also try to get a half a day off or a full day off so that you can recharge and enjoy life, and also this will allow you to enjoy any hobbies or activities or clubs you want to do. And you only have 4 years of college, so try to not only do well in school but also try to make the best of opportunities that are available to you in school, both academically and socially. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and you use some of the study strategies that I put forth in this video. Make sure you guys like so that you can help with the algorithm. I'll see you guys next time, and peace.